Hi there, welcome to Mini Math Lessons with Karen. And today we are looking at a an activity that is using matrices as another representation of a problem, another way that you could solve the problem versus, equations or graphing. So I'm using Classpad.net, as I've said before. It's free. Please sign up. It's a great tool because it can do all the math you need. And this is the landing page. Notice there's lots of resources up here. You can, there's video tutorials on our YouTube. There's free activities that are here. You can get a user guide that does quick how-tos and a function list. And then just to create an account, it's super easy. Click the button and start filling in the form and you're there in a matter of minutes. Or you could just start exploring if you want. So you don't need an account. You can play, as I said, but the activity that I'm sharing, if you wanted to keep the work that you've done on it, you would want to have an account so that the tool knows where to save things. So creating an account lets you save things that you found and also what's the word I'm looking for? Create your own. So I'm clicking into this activity here, and let's get rid of our soft keyboard there. So this is basically a situation where we have a company that's making different types of jerseys, so football jerseys, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys, and they've got their production costs, their labor costs, their advertising costs, and so they're trying to determine how do we know how to price each one of these jerseys. And in the details up here, it says how many they would like to be able to sell or how many they're going to plan to manufacture. And so based on this information, the costs, so there's 3 different types of costs, and then how many they're hoping to produce, how do they determine how much they should be selling them for? So basically the idea here is, obviously you could use equations, but one thing you could do is use your matrices. So each table could be converted to a matrix. And here's an example. So here's the nice thing about Classpad. You can actually, these are all stickies and they can be moved. And so I'm just going to move this up so it's next to, so you can see how this was converted. So here's production's costs. And we've simply created a matrix P, to represent production, and converted just the costs, cutting, assembling, packaging into columns and rows of a matrix. And so this now is our matrix P, which we can then just use the variable P, the name of the matrix, to do operations on very quickly because we've set it, we've defined it using this colon equals. So the first thing that students, and I'm going to move this back down here where I need it to be, first thing students are asked to do is to convert each of these costs into its own separate matrix. So we're going to pull up, and I'm going to actually pull up a separate sticky here so that I can kind of look up here next to my labor because I'd like them to be next to each other. So they're going to do the same thing. They're going to make a matrix for the labor, they're going to make a matrix for the costs, and they're even going to make a matrix for the amount that they want to produce. So this would just be a 1/3 matrix, but these would go along with the table. So all they have to do is basically define first. We're going to use an L to represent the labor. So this is our L matrix, and matrices are under math, and you'll notice there's a couple tabs here. So if we go to the second tab, here's where my matrix templates live, and this is going to be 1, 2, 3 columns and 3 rows. So I'm going to get the horizontal first. That only gives me 2, but if I click it again, that's where I get my third. And then this is the vertical matrix tool. And so then now it will add rows for me. And so there is my 3×3. And then I'm just going to basically transfer these numbers into their position. So 1.88, 10.31. And rather than sit here and have you guys watch me do this, I'm going to pause the video and come back when I have completed all the matrices. So I'll be back in a matter of seconds. All right, so I'm back, and you'll see here's the original matrix, which corresponds with this table up here. I've simply converted the table values into my matrix values. And so then I did the same thing here. I have one for labor, one for advertising, and then I actually even have one for the manufacturing total for each type of jersey. So here's the 3×1 matrix right here. And these are all 3 by 3 matrices. So once they have their matrices set, then all we have to do is use the names of the matrices. We don't have to retype or anything. We can just use the names. And the cool thing about Classpad is, notice these are all on separate. I could have done it in one big, long calculate sticky, but I chose to do one per matrix just for space-wise. And because Classpad is all interconnected, it doesn't matter that they're not technically in the same calculation. I can use those title names because they've been defined. So the next thing they have to do is actually multiply out. And I'm just going to show you how to do one of the multiplications. But then they're going to record, the total production cost for the football, the basketball, the baseball. And they're doing that by multiplying the cost matrix by the manufactured total for each. So an example of that would be here. I'm going to type in, again, I only need the name now because it's already been defined. So the production cost times the manufacturer total, and it gives me a 3 by 1, and these are the totals for, because we did them in order, football jersey, basketball jersey, baseball jersey, and this is the production cost. And so then I would fill those numbers in here. And then once they get these 3, then they can add up their total. So I'm just going to replace, put 3221. It's going to cost $3,221 to produce a football jersey, is what these numbers mean. So they're going to go through this process. They're going to then collect the data that they get when they do that multiplication. Then they're going to add things up. So really this is just helping us find solutions relatively quickly once we have the matrices set up that match the problem. So good luck with this. This is a lot of fun, and it really helps students see that matrices are a rather efficient way to solve problems when you have like categories and tables that you're going to end up having to multiply and figure out costs. So good luck with that. Have fun.